Are you ready to transform your day? Well, here's the ultimate morning routine.
Yeah, sit back today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
You've reached the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. And now your hosts, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. This is episode 283. You can find all the show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jan O'Brien, do the daily. We've been talking about the daily for a while, but now we're going to dive into the daily.
Dive into the daily. We got 5 points to the daily, so this is part one. It's going to be all about the power of a morning routine, which I have embraced now for several months. And I've got to tell you, it is transformational. And we want to talk about that today, really empower you and give you some ideas if you're not already doing this. And yes, I know we're going to get into all the reasons why you couldn't do it, but I'm going to ask you, do you have about 10 minutes that you could set aside each day at a very minimum? We'll walk you through a way to help with that. And maybe if you have a little bit more time, how you start your day before you go about all the other things that you have to do on any given day.
Yep, good stuff. Looking forward
to it. And we'll carry on and cover the other points of the Do the Daily, which is about generating business, having business activities, lead gen 1 to 2 hours, and lead follow-up. Then we're going to talk about active clients, and then the one that's the time suck that most people spend a lot of their time in, which we call admin escrow time. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's number
every
5,
day,
right? Those are the things that are often easy to gravitate toward.
Absolutely. And when we talk about active clients, maybe we'll talk a little bit about giving you the best tips for at the moment. What are you doing to get those active clients? How are you converting those leads? But today it's all about a morning routine. And, starting every day with the idea that you're not going to roll out of bed and pick up the phone, which is what a bad habit is. And, I really am going to try this thing about having my device. I don't have an iPad or anything else, but just the phone, not right next to your bed. You do that really well, don't you? Don't you have it still in the other room?
About that. I really am.
Charge it in the other room. And I'm really thinking I'm going to do that because there really is a lot of stuff about the electromagnetic energy and everything that comes off of your devices and how we're around it all the time could be interrupting your sleep patterns, So I think I'm going to try that, Matt. I just thought about that. I think you do that, right?
Yeah, I do. And we've talked about taking a digital detox, several times in podcasts in the past. And that's just another thing that I think everyone should try to do. It's so funny. My wife she cracks me up because she's always like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that with him. I mean, it's like every little step along the way. It's like, oh, I'm dreading getting a phone because people are on their phones all the time. And then I'm not going to do that. She gets a phone. She's on the phone all the time. Right. I'm not going to play games. She starts playing games. It's all of this kind of stuff. It's just so funny. And I see
it sucks us in.
It does. And I see her, she's a school teacher. So I see her when she has time off on vacations, spending a lot of time on the phone. And it's interesting. And I keep trying to get her to do the detox. She's like, I know we need to do that. I need to try that. So Easter or spring break is coming up, and we are going to have a detox day, and we'll see who breaks first.
All right. I love that. And having a digital detox is maybe something really to put in here every once in a while as well. Yeah. But as part of your morning routine, let's jump in and talk about, what are the benefits of doing this? It's to number one, take care of yourself first. If you spend a little bit of time focused on your energy, your mental state, your physicalness, spirituality, and you can do this in 10 to 15 minutes a day to start with, and then you'll probably want to spend more, and you'll find out, may mean you have to get up a little bit earlier. So for everybody's listening, I just had a class the other day, and we were talking about business planning. I taught a post-licensing class here, and I was talking about the morning routine and the daily, the 5 steps of the daily. And there were people like, well, I have 5 kids and I have this. And I said, I understand that completely. And I really do. When I have Charlie over, my 10-year-old nephew, and take him to school, we a lot of times have him on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, take him to school on Monday. I'm like, how do parents do this every day? He's a blessing. He's beautiful. He's easy to get up. But that takes a lot of time. And if you have 4 or 5 kids, I get it. So how do you do it? You just have to spend 10 or 15 minutes earlier than when you would wake up to get the kids up. And that's where you start, or you find some time in the evening after everybody goes to bed if you can, but you got to find some time. Okay. There's a way to do it. We're going to talk you through a way to do it in 7 minutes if you really just wanted to have a 7 to 10 minute focus. But there's so many things. It's your mental health. It's starting your day in a positive, powerful energy way, because I really think attitude is everything. And if you roll out of bed and you're watching the news and you're starting to think about everything you have to do today, then you just carry that energy forward. And this is just all about clearing that, creating some space for yourself and giving yourself the best opportunity. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do, the benefits are just immense, right? You're going to have so many things that will happen. You might even find yourself being more creative, more open to solutions, less stress, better time management overall, because you started the day out for you in a positive way, right?
Right.
All right. So what can you do? Well, you got to figure out what it is for you, but we're going to give you some ideas. And a lot of those ideas, for me, I'll just share what I do. Matt, you share what you do,
Sure.
Because you're so good about walking and getting out and spending some time. So I definitely start my day with meditation. I listen to some inspiring things that I'm following. I might read a little bit out of a book that I'm doing. And I can get caught up in this, so I have to schedule the time, because before you know it, I'll get up like at 5 o'clock and I'll spend an hour doing all these things I'm talking about. Walking. And I find that walking while I'm listening to the things that are motivational, inspirational to me is really working really well. So it might be a podcast, or it might be a book I'm listening to. And then you kind of don't realize how much time goes by when you're walking, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A walking meditation, in a way, if you don't have any music or anything on, being in the moment and being mindful of when you're walking, not thinking about everything that is the power of that, but getting outside and getting grounded. And I have discovered is so important to get out of the house and go outside and just look at the trees. It doesn't even matter. Even if I walk in my subdivision, which is what I think you do a lot too.
Absolutely.
I just notice the trees and the shrubs and the grass and the sky and all of that. And, at least get a little connection with nature. In my perfect world, I would love to be close enough where I didn't have to drive somewhere, where I would really be a little bit more in a natural setting. Right. So those are the big key things that I do before I jump in and then go through the process of making sure I'm doing better. Now, eating, I think that's important. I was skipping meals. I was just having some coffee. So now I'm doing smoothies like every day. And that I've realized that that's probably the thing that's helping me with the most energy.
You're probably right.
I switched more to, a more vegetarian diet. And I have all these things I put in my smoothie and protein, and it just starts the day for me. How about for you?
Yeah, I have an interesting situation. I've talked about this before on the podcast. And we have a cat that is diabetic. So I have a shot schedule that I have to do with the cat. So I usually get up way early in the morning, like 3:30 in the morning, to give that shot, feed them and give them the shot. And that is the time that I take to actually plan my day. So separate from the daily, I do that planning for what I'm going to do the next day during that time frame. And it took me a while to figure out how beneficial that was for me, but oh my gosh, because I don't have to wake up thinking about, what's today? Or I don't have to think about it when I go to sleep the night before. I think about it in that time kind of separate from my waking up time, when you would typically do the daily. So that's kind of how I coordinate that stuff. And then when I wake up, it's like such a routine. Some days I get off, like today, I didn't get to walk for my in the morning routine because I have been walking after we do our podcast this morning. But typically what I will do is I will get up, I will, go downstairs. I'll make the coffee's already brewed because I have my wife going off to school, and I make myself a little breakfast. I don't have the same thing every day, but same thing you're talking about. Something nutritious, something that's going to fill me with some vitamins, and something that's going to give me some energy for the day. Usually I do fruit, some cottage cheese, or some yogurt or something like that.
Avocado toast.
And sometimes avocado toast. And then there's a place in our little kitchen that's got a little breakfast nook, and the sunlight is beautiful in there. And even whenever there's no sunlight, just the light coming in there. And usually I'll sit there and have my breakfast, and it's quiet, or I'll turn on a little music like you had talked about. Eat my breakfast away from my device, away from my computer, away from all that stuff, and really just kind of relax and chill and let my head kind of just think and go, not plan the day because I've already done that, but just kind of think about, things.
Right. But that's part of what you've done there to get yourself in that right stance, because after you do get something going for yourself, then it is important to look at, what am I going to do today if you didn't do it the night before?
So then after that, I always do the walk is what I always do. This is my next thing. And I do the same thing. I listen to a podcast or listen to music or that, something like that. It is for me all about, looking up, looking down, looking all around, right? Looking for the things that you are not typically going to see. It's like the little things. I mean, right now is amazing because it's spring. And everything is blooming, or even if it's not blooming, the trees are leafing out. You can find so much. And if you walk kind of in the same area on a consistent basis, you can see literally the world coming to life in front of you. And to me, that is just the most inspiring thing, right?
I so agree with that, Matt. Yeah. There's beautiful flowers on several of the trees that are around here. And they just are breathtaking because just a few short weeks ago, they were bare, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So just watching the nature go through and be aware of it. And there's such a this is so important, what we're saying right here. Going out and taking a walk and keeping your brain going with all the things that you need to do versus stopping that and being mindful and noticing and taking however long you walk, even if it's just for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and being in the moment while you're walking is where I think you'll get what it is you need.
It's funny because I play a game, and I think I might have mentioned this one time before, but I think this is something, because you're like, well, how do you get your mind focused on that as opposed to focusing on your day or all the things you have to do? Here's a game that I have played that I found to be really kind of fun. I pick a tree of the week in my walk. So I'm walking around and there's trees all over the area where I'm walking, both planted, but also natural trees in the area. And I'll pick a tree. It's like, what's going to be the tree of the week, right? So I'll choose a tree. And then every time I cross around by that tree, I look at that tree, I praise that tree, I'm thankful for that tree, right? But then also when I'm walking, I'm like, you start selecting the tree of the next week. So you find yourself looking at nature as opposed to thinking about what you're going to be doing in the day. Silly. I know that sounds silly.
No, that's a great idea.
It is a very cool way to divert your mind into actually thinking about the nature of that's around you as opposed to all the fires that you have to put out today. So just a tip.
So let's continue on with that for a moment about just this whole idea of a mindful walk, a meditative walk. And having some accountability with others. One of the things that really is motivating me, and I just actually saw a text that came in from one of my family members because I got the notification. We're in a small group and we use the app called Map My Walk. I think it's Under Armour sponsored, but there's a lot of them, right, that are out there, fitness apps. But if you have friends that are doing similar things or committed to doing like a daily routine, then what's cool about the Map My Walk is you're able to start the walk. It will track where you're going. It puts a little map in there and you can stop and take a photo and share, like that tree of the week. You got me thinking about that. Like I've done that before. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this great tree. And they're seeing what my walk was. There's a place when I'm done, you put a little note in there. How was your walk? And you share it with the other people that you're doing this with. Yep. And it's very, very motivating. And Matt, you have your rings, right? You have something that motivates you. Can you share what it is that you like?
I on my Apple Watch, I use the Apple Health app, and the same thing. And actually, there's a map, and I was just trying to pull it up. There's a map feature in there that shows you your walk as well. But the rings are extremely motivating for me. And as silly as it is, I never really thought I was this guy. But if I don't get my monthly award for each month, I'm like feeling like I'm not doing the right thing, or if I'm not getting hitting certain number of steps a day or a certain number of stairs a day or all that kind of stuff, it really motivates me. The other night I found myself having to go out at 7 o'clock at night because I hadn't closed a ring. Okay, so maybe that's a little obsessive, but at the same time, it's
working for you, though.
Active, right? So
it's working for you, and then you're into the space but you're feeling good about it. And see, part of what happens, whether it's you're wired that you like to see, like I like that notification that someone's done, it made me feel like now I'm really more motivated to go do the walk. It's rainy here today and I want to go walking a little bit. Oh, see, exactly. It lets the person, if you were to share it, you can see exactly where you walk. They love that. Yeah, that's perfect. So let's talk about other things about moving your body, right? So mix and match. So there are times where I was following an app called Better Me that I like that had me doing these light yoga and stretches and so forth as part of it. And then I would go take a walk. But you could do things like Tai Chi or whatever works for you, yoga. Some people like, to go and just run or jog or go to the gym and get movement going and use strength training and running on the treadmill. I mean, I just prefer to go outside and do that myself. But the whole point is move your body as part of this morning routine in some way, right? We talked a little bit about nutrition and health. I think there's value. I haven't really found finally, I don't know what happened to me. Maybe it's just that I started to really focus on this in the last several months. I cut out a lot of things that drinking wise that were not healthy, like, sodas. I was sometimes drinking diet soda and I'm like, I can't have any more of that chemical stuff in my body. Yep. And I was doing things like those Celsiuses and other things, and they have stuff in them. Even though they're trying to say they're healthy, fit drinks, they still have maybe sucralose or some things in there that sweeten it that are chemical. Man-made chemical stuff. So it's water for me, and I don't know what it is, but it's almost like I've just embraced water and now I'm drinking more of it, which meant I was really dehydrated before. And now I want the water, and I have to have it cold, and I'm liking it in a certain kind of a container where it keeps it cold. The metallic one works for me better. I have it with me all the time. And in getting up in the morning, drinking water is powerful. Water with lemon in it too can be a whole thing that will get things stimulated. But have a glass of water is the first thing that you do when you're getting up, health wise. And then you have to figure out what your body needs for health, food wise. We're all different. Some people need to eat different things, but I just think there's some power to, if you really are wanting to get your energy where you want it to be so you can accomplish all the things that you want to do in a day with your business, your clients, your family, then maybe cutting out the processed foods. It's all the same stuff, the things that are chemical ridden, trying to get to more fresh, organic foods are going to do your body well.
I'll tell you another thing that I've started doing, or I've been doing it for probably well over a year now, is drinking green tea, hot tea. I've had at least 1 cup of green tea a day, every day. And if I don't have it, I don't know that I physically feel it, but I mentally know I haven't had it. It kind of calms me down too. So it's kind of cool. But there's, decaf. It's cool.
So we've talked a little bit about meditation. It could be prayer,
Sure.
And what goes with that sometimes is reading. And as I mentioned, you might want to read a passage out of a book or pick something up like that. These are all things that I work on in the mornings too. And I definitely I do my intentions or my manifestations, affirmations, whatever you want to call them. I do those on a daily basis now for, over the last 60 days, I've been doing that. It's been incredibly powerful. So we've always talked in business planning about setting your goals and turning them to affirmations. And affirmations are written in present tense as if they've already occurred. So your subconscious mind is already seeing that it's completed, even though in your ego mind, you're going, well, yeah, but it's not really happened yet. It's all part of how you train your brain to know that it's happened and you just haven't caught up to it yet, is one of the ways I look at it. It's a reality. It's going to come when it's supposed to right now. And it's powerful because if you start doubting what it is you're saying, then you're defeating the purpose of the affirmation. So you can say an affirmation in the morning, but then if you go about your day not actually believing it because your self-talk is saying, you're probably not going to get any business today. And it's whatever, all the negative self-talk, because most of us have a lot of negative self-talk. There's an awareness around that. And I have just a quick story about that because it was powerful, because I happened to work with my clients yesterday that were a result of working with this one intention. And this intention that I set on this particular day was I've said it in a recent podcast, I attract a client who is ready, willing, and able to work with me today. And I started doing a deal where I'm writing it down actually 3 times and saying it. And there's a whole process where you could do that. And then you could, if you have time in the day to focus on it again, and doing it like 6 times, and then at night doing it 9 times. So there's just there's a bunch of things that are out there. You just got to figure out what works for you. But the whole point is you have to set the intention. You have to really believe it. You have to feel it and sense it and see it, which is part of this process I'm going through, is where I write my intention. And then the next question in my little book I'm using says, how do you visualize that happening? And then how do you feel because it's happened? And that gets you into that mindset of not just saying it and writing it, but feeling what's it going to feel like when you accomplish the goal, the intention, the affirmation that you're saying. So I did that. And backstory here, I had no idea I just said it, like, not like this person's going to call me. I just said, I attract a client today. And I had about a month ago had a client that I'd shown some homes to, some condos to, and it's a husband and wife. They're buying a second home here. And they basically, the husband called and said, I don't know if we're going to move there now or get a second home there, and gave me the reason why. And I was like, no problem. We'll stay in touch, keep you on my newsletter. And then that day that I literally said that affirmation of I attract a client today who is ready, willing, and able to work with me, I was out doing some business, showing a home, and I was on my way back home to home office, and he called me. He goes, you're not going to believe this. Lisa, her name is Lisa. Lisa found a condo that she wants she really is excited about. Now, here's the weird part of the story. Okay. This is why I was like, I got goosebumps when this happened. But the second part of the story Matt hasn't heard is what happened yesterday when I was sharing this story with my clients. So I basically, I did not send that property to them. I had them on an MLS search. They wanted a downstairs unit in Summerlin under a certain price point. They still wanted to see the properties, but he had just told me, I don't know if we're going to move. And literally, she found the property, and it was a second floor unit. Okay. I never would have sent it to her.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, great. I go, shorten the story here. I go over, it just came on the market that day. It was already getting tons of showing because it was really in pristine shape and it was priced right. And I was like, they weren't here. They were in New Jersey. I took a video. They wrote an offer, and they came out, in the next 5 days to look at it and everything and for the inspection. And they loved it. All right. So fast forward to yesterday. They're doing the walkthrough. And I had just come from that class, a class I was just talking about, the post-licensing class, where I was sharing this story about using an affirmation, setting the intention, and I'd set that story up to that point. Now I leave my class and I go meet my clients. We do the walkthrough. Everything's great. And I say, I just taught a class and I have to share. I use you guys as an example of the power of setting an intention. Now, Lisa tells me the rest of the story. You ready for this? She goes, Jan, you're not going to believe it. I really had decided I didn't, because she was the one who didn't really want to do this. And I was just saying we weren't going to do it now. We might do it later. I want to stay here for these reasons. But something urged me to go. She literally said to me, I got this feeling that I needed to go look at the condos, like on Zillow. And when she opened up her Zillow app, and there was the condo that wasn't anything I sent her that she loved. And that's the rest of the story. She had a feeling, as just part of all of how this all can line up for you when you really are working on it. I know that sounds a little like, no way, but I didn't know that part of the story until I just happened to share, this whole, I used you as an example. And she goes, you're not going to believe this. I had no intention of looking at any more condos, but something told me to go look. Mm-hmm. And there it is. And that's how it
awesome.
works. Okay. So it's a long-winded story to say it works. Okay. Yeah. And you have to really get into the habit of doing it, and you have to change your mindset and believe it. So it can't just be this little cursory, I attract a client today who's ready to work with me. If you don't actually believe it, and then you don't go about your day doing actions and that are towards business, you can't sit at home and, hope that somebody knocks on your door and says, let's go buy a condo. All right.
Let me ask you a question, Jen. I've been wanting to ask you this. This is, if you're doing your daily affirmations, you have it all in your head, right? Then you get out and start doing your day, and your day starts getting ahead of you, or your day takes over your mind and whatever, and you get into a funk. How do you recalibrate your affirmation, or how do you recalibrate your day if all of a sudden you're not experiencing that day?
That's a great question. And so there's a couple things that when you really work on this, and if you do any studying and find different teachers and things out there that will help you, that will connect and resonate with you, for me, it's about detaching from the outcome. Mm. So I am just saying that I say that, and it may or may not happen today. I asked for it today, but I know that everything is going to come from someplace, or I'll get another lead, or something will happen, because that's generally what happens. But if I start to go, if I can basically undo the power of setting those intentions in the morning, and then maybe reconnecting with it somewhere in the day. I'll do it while I'm driving. I'll just say it to myself. I have to neutralize, okay, and not start going down the path of, see, it doesn't work, it's BS. And, and if I start going that way, then I'm basically attracting what I'm saying now. I just changed my new reality to say, well, it doesn't really work. And so what I want is an experience of not having somebody reach out to me. Okay. So it just becomes this thing of you just ultimately believe. You set the intention, you go through the feelings of it, you can see it as it's already happened, then you let go of the expectation of how it's going to be delivered to you. That's why you can't say that person's going to call me today, in my opinion. I mean, you could try that, but I just think that you leave it open to what are the possibilities, because what you want is to have business today, or you want to work, whatever it is. And it's not always that I say that, by the way, because I don't do it all the time. I do it when I really want to, because we have people coming to us. But if I feel like we've slowed down a little bit, and where I may do that, because if I'm busy today, I can't take care of a client today, maybe. I already have other clients. You know what I'm saying? So it's not an everyday intention. I set different ones on different days for whatever I'm working on. Might be something for me. Might be something about how I'm going to eat today, or the practice that I'm going to do, or something I'm going to work on. So it's not all, and I don't want it to make it sound like it's all robotic and you're programming yourself to do all this. It's just, I want to have a happier day.
Well, I was just going to say, it really isn't it's not so much about the programming necessarily, but it really goes back to just that self-awareness and what's going on in your life and in your mind. Because I'll find myself, I haven't mastered the affirmation, and I've been paying really close attention to what you've been talking about and just trying some different things, but haven't mastered yet. But everything's a work in progress. But one thing I am very good about now is if I do have that where my day turns like, I can be the most positive, energetic, this is going to be the greatest day of my life today, starting out, and then something will happen that will turn that throughout the day. When I realize it's turned, I can turn it back around to the positive just by saying, it's so simple to get out of that negative space. If you just realize, don't let it run your day. Don't let it rule what's going on, because you know what? You have had a bad day probably just about or bad part of your day practically every day, right?
Things can trigger you. I still get triggered. As much as I'm working on all this, I'll still get triggered on crazy drivers cutting me off. Okay. That is my thing. And I catch myself doing what I've always done, like, dude, or cussing or whatever. And now I'm like, oh, and I'll immediately, so you just said it. I'll immediately go, wow, how cool. I kind of like go, wow, there you go. You're getting triggered. You're not really working on all these things, are you? And then I'll just immediately go, hey, he must be in a hurry. That person needs to go wherever. Have a happy day. And I don't let it bother me. Somebody the other day was beeping at me because I wasn't going fast enough. And I immediately went to that place of chill out, dude. And I did that. I said it out loud. I was taking my time of where I was trying to, because I didn't really know where I was going. And somebody was in a big hurry and they were just beeping. And that's a trigger for me. And I
love what you just said. That it's like, here's the deal. You can only control yourself. You have really no idea what's happening in everybody else's lives. So don't automatically assume that they're just out being a jerk, right? Because that might not be the case. It's really interesting.
All we can control is how we react to something. So it comes with awareness. Let me share a couple of things that I do when you ask the question. If all of a sudden something has gotten you funked out, or you're bummed, or something happened, or maybe a deal fell apart, that used to bother me too. Now I'm like, I'm not attached to the outcome. I know that's weird, but if someone doesn't want to buy the house because something happened, I just go, someone else is going to come then.
Yeah.
But if I get all in on, I really needed that to happen. And then I'm really putting the wrong energy into it. So if something else shifts my thing throughout the day, I have other things that help me. I know what makes me smile again. So a couple things that will be is nature. Being outside, stopping and breathing. Breathing is huge. Just doing that's a good thing to do in the morning too, is just work on breath work. It helps you actually get into a meditative state. Just doing inhale for 4, exhale for 6, watch your breath, slow down, and just be aware of the thoughts that are coming through your head, is a quick little meditation idea. And then just try it for 3 to 5 minutes. Back to meditation for a second. 3 to 5 minutes every day. We can all do that. Mm-hmm. You really can make that happen. But it's either that, and sometimes it's music. Uplifting music will make me smile, or thinking about something. And the retreat I just went to, a couple of the exercises and stuff that we were doing with some of these practitioners was helping us get into a meditative state to work on some things. And that was a classic thing. It was breathing to settle, be aware of the thoughts and the things that are coming in. And you know, this will happen when you start meditating. You'll be like, okay, I'm here. And your mind is still going, when is this going to end? Okay, that's a thought. Let it go. This is how the practitioner was saying, this seat is kind of hard. You know, like that. These are things that are happening in your head as you're trying to meditate. Okay, that's a feeling or a sensation. I'm aware of it and I'm letting it go, and come back to your breath. And then, you know, just quiet down. That's really what it's all about. And set a little timer for 3 minutes. And by the time, I mean, I was finally getting into it. And it's like 3 minutes are up. I can do this longer.
Let's do it again. I'll tell you, that's another thing the Apple Watch can do. There's the breathing part of that app. And there's also a mindfulness thing. They ask you a couple questions in the morning and the evening. They ask you to, you know, sit back, take some time and think about this, answer this question. It's awesome. The Apple Watch is an awesome thing.
And the other place they were doing was to get you into this state where you're shifting your energy up, which is what you could do anytime, not just in a meditative state, is to think of something or someone or an event or something that makes you happy and smile. Yep. And it's crazy. It's like, it could be a pet. It could be whatever. Okay. It could be a place in nature. It could be just something that every time you think about it, you get into this state. That was powerful. That's a technique that I use out in the field to just get back to that. So now you can get yourself back to that energy, and now your whole day is not ruined. This is great that we're talking about this, because it's not, you start the intention and you figure out the routine that works for you, that gets you into this most positive, powerful state for you. We're sharing a lot of ideas, but you got to go, you certainly don't need to do all these things. You got to go figure out what works for you.
Right.
Whatever it is, whatever it works for you, then just do it, but maybe mix it up and do some things. Gratitude journaling is an idea if you don't want to do affirmations. What are you grateful for? Actually, that's something that's in this book I have, is what are you grateful for today? Gratitude, having that, what are you grateful for, again, does something in your energy to shift you to that attitude of gratitude, instead of coming from fear or being upset or negative or you know, depressed and so on. So those are some of the things. I mean, I think we hit the big ones, journaling, but we have another thing that we could share with you that is an easy way to get started with this. Okay. And it's like, let's talk about that S.A.V.E.R.S, right? One of the things that is a great book is the Hal Elrod is his name, and he's got a ton of these books. So The Miracle Morning, it was his first book. Then he kind of created variations of that for different people, like for nurses, for teachers, and there's one for real estate agents. So you can get The Miracle Morning for real estate agents. Maybe go get the download and the audio. Check out Hal Elrod if you don't know Miracle Morning. He has a great podcast. He's got an amazing backstory. This guy died almost twice. He was in a horrible motorcycle accident in his 20s. All these things happened to him. And this is the process that he came up with that he uses to this day. And he teaches other things. But S.A.V.E.R.S is 1, 2, 3, what is it? 6 things?
6. Yep.
6 things. S.A.V.E.R.S, Life S.A.V.E.R.S, the 6 Life S.A.V.E.R.S. The S stands for silence. Well, we just talked about that. Meditation, you could be prayer. You take some time. Now, what he says is, even if you're busy, if you're saying you don't have 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour to set aside, do you have 7 minutes? 1 minute of silence. Then A is affirmations. 1 minute of stating your affirmations for today, which if you've already done your goals and you've got them written down, and they could be around, you know, I make 5 phone calls today, you know, they could be business related, right? I do my daily, I had to do that one to get me into it. Right. Now I don't have to say I do my morning routine. So affirmations, right? And then the V is visualization. I just kind of walk through that same process. You do your affirmations and you visualize how it already looks as if it's already done. You really use all your senses to visualize. It's very powerful. Or visualize what you're going to feel like or where you're at when that happens. But you got to get your body into the sensation of it's already happened, and let go of how it's going to happen. Very important. So that's the S.A.V., silence, affirmation. V, E, exercise, move your body, whatever that is for you that's going to give you some energy. Doesn't have to be like, don't put yourself back. Like if you were an athlete in your younger days, this has always been my issue. I talked to my sister about this. just taking a 10-minute walk, you're like, I'm kind of a loser, man. I used to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Don't compare yourself to your 20-year-old self. Don't let your 62-year-old self think that you can do the things that your 22 or 32-year-old self could do, right? Just get out there and move your dang body somehow, right?
I have a new thing that I was just going to mention a little while ago about exercise. I've started this probably about 2 weeks ago. Have you ever just done chair yoga before, or chair exercising? It is freaking awesome. I've never done it, and I absolutely love it. And I'm using muscles in my body I've never used before, or haven't used in a long time. You'd be really surprised what you can do without even getting up.
And because we do sit in our chairs a lot if we're doing a lot of computer work, right?
Yep.
So that's exercise. So go explore, go see what it is that you want to do. Maybe combine some of these things, right? And then the next R, or the only R, is reading. So we talked about that as well. So it's an easy way to remember it. And then the final S is scribing or journaling. So S.A.V.E.R.S, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, the reading, and the scribing. That's how you remember S.A.V.E.R.S. And you could just say, I'm going to do it for 1 minute or 5 minutes. And then you have got a morning routine coupled with go eat a healthy meal, get a healthy breakfast in, and now go start your day. Now go jump into the things that you have lined up for yourself for the day.
That's awesome.
We love it. So that's it. And boy, I struggled with this for quite a while. But I have to tell you, this is the life changer for me. Doing this morning routine, something every day, and it's mostly up here in my mental, adding the physicalness of I'm not always walking. I might do some yoga, but I try to find the way to walk and get more activity in. But I do all that other stuff every day, and it's making a huge difference in how I feel and the results in my business, to be honest. Right?
Yeah, it absolutely changes the way just your mindset completely, no matter what.
In our show notes today, we've got some recommended reading. We have it over on our resource page. So definitely The Miracle Morning for Hal Elrod. I just went back to a couple of the classics that I sometimes go back to share with you today. And the 4 Agreements is a mainstay. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is an easy read, and it's another way to help you with just some tools to deal with the day, to be honest. And the agreements are basically always do your best, and your best can change from day to day because of your energy. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. And why am I spacing on the last one? Always do your best is the first one. Oh, be and always do your best. But the first one is really be in integrity with yourself and with others. So what you say you're going to do, you do. And then it's don't make assumptions, don't take anything personally, and then always do your best, which changes. So it's great stuff, right? My favorite time management, if you will, stress management tool and book is Getting Things Done by David Allen. I love that. I love Atomic Habits. That one I recently listened to last year. I never really got into it before, but man, it was great. It was just about taking things down to small steps, which is powerful because sometimes we get overwhelmed with, we're trying to change a habit. We're trying to change the way we take care of ourselves, and it seems overwhelming. And this book will help you just go one small thing that you do consistently day after day can change everything for you. It doesn't have to be huge. The E-Myth Revisited, I always throw in there because it's the best business book for an entrepreneur. So we have all those in there for you. And we actually put a link to our 4 Agreements podcast that we did a while ago. So you can hear us talking about the 4 Agreements and how they apply. And actually, I call it the 5 Agreements because I use the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz and then Eckhart Tolle, which I'm going to be revisiting this book again because I read it years ago, but it's The Power of Now. Being in the moment. Not being in the past or the present, and which is an issue for a lot of us. We're always going. What's next? Or we're lamenting about the past, and then you're never in the moment, and you miss the moment. Right.
Yeah, and that podcast link, by the way, that was episode 87. We didn't start doing YouTube videos on our podcast to episode 100. So if you're going to look for that podcast, you won't find it on our website, our podcast website. Go over to any of the podcast platforms and go back in there. All the audio versions are back on there. It
was a long time back.
It was a long time ago.
Right. So we love it. That is our inspiration for today, is to, if you're not already doing it, to commit to something that's going to work for you for a morning routine that you're going to enjoy. It can't be get up and be drudgery, okay? Because then you're not going to do it. So find something that you're enjoying and just start with something small. It doesn't have to be an hour of your day. Do 10, 15 minutes of something. Move your body, meditate, maybe do some affirmations, whatever sounds good. Try the S.A.V.E.R.S, do something, and then you'll figure it out as you go. And one thing leads you to the next thing. As soon as you start reading or studying or whatever, it will, in this day and age, if you get a book on Amazon, it'll be like, if you like that one, you're probably going to like these 5 others that other people like, right? That's how you start going down the rabbit hole of other things to study, right, Matt?
Exactly. Do not start your day in dread, right? Start it with positivity instead.
That's powerful stuff, guys. It's not just a bunch of woo-woo and up in your head. We're all manifestors. That's what I believe. And you're manifesting, you're creating your reality by your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Whether it's good or bad, whatever's going on for you right now, you created that. So take responsibility and figure out if it's not what you want, what's the learning here? What are you doing? And then you can start controlling that by being positive about it, like taking action and not letting it just happen unawares. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here today. So do the daily, and future series, we'll be talking about lead gen. How do you get yourself motivated into that 1 to 2 hours a day? I'll tell you the little secret, a little precursor to what we're going to cover. You got to find the thing that you really love to do. We're going to help you try to figure out what that passion thing is that you can do in your business, because then it's not work. Then you're going to have fun with it, and you're going to attract people that want to work with you.
That's right. We have a lot of these techniques and a lot of other things over in our Align and Connect Prosper course as well. So go over to the website, to our courses page, check out Align, Connect, Prosper. It's only $19 right now. So if you get that right now, let me just give you a little pro tip here. You're going to be getting an upgraded version of that coming down the line here. So if you snag it for $19, you're going to get the new stuff for that $19 price. So run over there and do that now. But don't tell a friend that. Let them pay the new higher price for it that's coming down the line. Do whatever you'd like. Be a friend. Anyway, all of our show notes today are over at WBNLpodcast.com. This was episode 283. We'll have all of the stuff that we talked about today, plus links to all of the books and the recommended reading, link to that podcast episode that we talked about, and just a lot of other good stuff over there on our blog post there at WBNLpodcast.com. Other than that, everyone, get up, get out, find your joy. We're going to continue to really focus on aligning, connecting, and prospering over the next year for sure. Big focus on that. And other than that, just get up, get out, and be forever wandering but not lost. Bye-bye.